This is Naren, Conquering Communication with you all, and my guy Ankit behind the scenes, behind the camera, has put me on the spot. He's put me to the test. He said, Naren, you gotta take a hot seat and I'm gonna shoot questions at you from Google about communication, and I'm gonna see how well you do. So I'm not prepared for this. Wish me luck. Let's see what he brings on. And if I can face all the googly balls he throws at me. Let's go. Ankit, what you got? What does communication mean? Okay, to me, communication and talking are two very different things. Talking is opening your mouth and putting information out there. Communication to me is a two-way street. So it's about what you're putting out there, but more importantly, it's about how you're making sure the other person receives it. So communication to me is really about taking responsibility for what you're saying and also taking responsibility for how it lands with other people. That's what I think communication is. Two-way street, not a one-way street. Why is communication important in hospitals? Wow. See, there's many ways I can take this question, but hospital is a time, especially when a family member has their family admitted in the hospital under a doctor. They can't visit them often. Communication becomes so sensitive and important. That's the time when hospital workers, the nurses, the doctors should have this real context in mind that the family is going through a tough time, and hence they must change their communication to really ease the burden already going through in the family's heart. So that's the worst time to be arrogant, to show that you're the nurse and the doctor and be like, hey, please, I really want you to go out of the chamber. You gotta be really polite and gentle and have a lot of patience. It's because the family might be in a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety. And I guess in hospitals, that would be the most important aspect of communication, to have really patience, great tonality, and the ability and the knowledge and the know-how how to calm people with even the toughest news, even with important news. That would be very sensitive and important hospital communication, I would say. How communication satellite works. I guess okay, I can relate to this. You know why? Because the satellites outside Earth, outside Moon, they all work on some electricity, some waves, some electromagnetic waves. I don't know the exact science behind it, but some energy that fires them. And I always say communication is so much about energy, right? Nikola Tesla said, if you want to know the deepest, darkest secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy. And I say, if you want to be a great communicator, think in terms of energy too. Communication is so much about energy. When we're talking to somebody, when we're talking to our friends, when we're talking to our audience, how you're communicating. When I'm talking to this camera, if I speak in a very boring way, low energy, you probably won't be interested in listening to me. So communication is really about energy and finding that energy wavelength that connects with people. Same way with satellites. That's how we communicate with satellites. There's a certain energy, there are certain frequencies and certain waves that we are sending from here, and the satellites are receiving, and then the satellites are giving those feedback back to us in our stations in NASA or ISRO, whatever the port is. So communication is so much about energy, whether it's in form of words, whether it's in form of body language in action, or if it's in form of satellite waves. Hey, that was a tough question you threw at me, man. Go easy.
Right.
Where does communication go wrong for people? Wow, fantastic question. I would say the number one thing is people focus a lot on the words. Yes, this is something I'm telling you very different, something that is not apparent to the logical mind. People focus all their attention on the words, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's what matters the most of the time. I see my friends sometimes get into an argument or a quarrel with their wife or their husband, and they will say, hey, I just told this, I just said this, why are you angry about this? they're like, no, you shouldn't have said it this way. And the friend does not get it. It's not about what you say as much as it is about how you say it. And the how means body language, how your body language was, or the tone, the tonality you used. You know, I can tell somebody, hey, I love you. That's a good tonality. But if I tell somebody, hey, I love you, right? The second I love you doesn't even count to the other person. It's because the second I love you doesn't match, the words don't match with the feeling tone, with the tonality and the body language. So the people miss out here. Here is where communication goes wrong. They miss out on the body language and tonality. Some experts say body language and tonality together add up to more than 90 to 93% of communication. Words are only 7% important. I don't know how true this fact is or not, but a lot of experts say this across a lot of fields. So people focus too much on the words, not enough on tonality and body language, and that's where communication goes wrong. Why does communication start to fade in relationships? I made a video about this the other day, but communication starts to fade in relationships is because we don't put in the manure. Just like a plant, relationships I would say are like plants, and plants are a very living thing. People fail to realize relationships are a very living thing. You know, you gotta put in work, you gotta give it sunlight, water, air for it to flourish, right? If you don't put in the work, a relationship does not last, and that's why it starts to fade. A big thing you can put into relationships to make it spring back up is manure. That's what we do in plants, right? We put manure. A manure stinks. Manure is not very comfortable to handle, but when you put in manure, it really rejuvenates the plant. In a relationship, if you want to spring it back up, if your relationship has faded because you've not catered to it, you've not realized it's a very living thing, what you can do is put the manure of truth. Because truth can be very tough to handle. It can stink. But when you put the truth in a relationship of how you really feel within the heart, and have the intention of making it work, you have the intention of rejuvenating the plant, you can really spring the relationship back up. So relationship fades because of what I said. We've not paid attention to it. We've not realized it's a living thing. And this is how we can spring it back up, by putting in the manure of truth, the truth within you of how you feel. How did communication start? Wow, I don't have a textbook answer for that. I don't even know how it started. But I know there's this deep desire for human beings to connect. So oftentimes we connect with energy, what we call how someone has a good vibe, how someone has good energy. We connect through energy. But I guess as human beings progressed, maybe they felt the need to connect on different levels, through different senses. And that's when we came up with body language. So visually we connect to somebody through body language and how our language actions are, body language actions are. Then we connect to them verbally and through our hearing sense. When we speak, when we create words, when we say things out loud, we connect to them through a sense of the touch, right? When we hold somebody, when we hug somebody, because what we experience through these five senses is what becomes the experience of our life. And when we use different ways of communication, body language, touch, hear, feel, in some way we are trying to connect with the person in front, with an audience, through the five senses. And I guess that's how communication began, with the deep desire for human beings to connect, or the deep desire for life to connect. Even trees are connected underneath through a root system. Even animals feel a great sense of connection. They come and the dog wants you to pet its head. I guess that deep desire for life to connect with other life is the basis of how we really started to communicate, in attempt to connect with others through more than one way. Done for the day. You run out of questions. Yeah. There we go. I think I had fun, and it felt very easy for me. It felt natural for me to go through these questions because they were a lot of fun to answer, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Ankit put me through the test. Comment below and tell me if you think I passed or failed, because I promise to you I did not know what questions are coming on to me and what questions was I going to face. So I'm glad I was able to at least speak throughout. Much love. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks, Ankit.